And Dominic Miranda joins us live. He's at the Colts complex. He just heard from the head coach Shane Steichen about all the factors that led up to this decision. Dom, this has been the dialogue that we've been talking about all through camp. Why this decision on this day?
Well, on this day, because you want to have your starting quarterback definitely named ahead of the last preseason game. I mean, we're just a couple weeks, a little over that away from the regular season. So getting, a definitive answer on the starting quarterback position was obviously priority one. And that, like you mentioned, it will be Daniel Jones. And it won't be just for game one. Shane Steichen telling us just 45 minutes ago that Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the season. Now, a couple of reasons that led to this. The main thing is consistency when it comes to Daniel Jones. Shane Steichen saying he was consistent with the operation, checks at the line of scrimmage, getting everyone lined up correctly, things of that nature. Daniel Jones showed a little more consistency than Anthony Richardson when it comes to that. Completion percentage was another thing that Shane Steichen mentioned, which to me is a little interesting because there wasn't much separation there, and there really wasn't much separation between these two quarterbacks throughout training camp. Nobody lit the world on fire, but in Shane Steichen's purview, Daniel Jones did enough to be named the starting quarterback for the 2025 season. He kept saying, regardless of what happens, it's on me to make the best decision for the 2025 Indianapolis Colts. Now, for Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen saying that it just wasn't consistent enough. He's made strides in that area, he said, but there's still ways to go when it comes to that line of scrimmage stuff, picking up blitzes, making checks at the line, operationally speaking. He said that Anthony Richardson has a ways to go. And that he said he talked to both quarterbacks. They both took it well, and he said Anthony Richardson agreed he had a ways to go, and he's one play away, right? He's one play away from getting in the game, but Daniel Jones is the Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback for the 2025 season. Here's Shane Steichen with a little more information on how he came to this decision.
You guys heard me talk about the consistency, and that's really what I was looking for, and really the operation at the line of scrimmage, the checks, the protection, the ball placement, the completion percentage. I think all that played a factor in it. I think Daniel did a great job doing that, and I think AR has made strides in that area, but I do feel that, he still needs to continue to develop in those areas. And I had a chance to talk to both of them this morning. They were both great.
So it is decided Daniel Jones will be the Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback in 2025. And obviously there was questions as to, the quarterback carousel continues here in Indianapolis. How many different starting quarterbacks since 2019 and Andrew Luck's retirement have there been? And Daniel Jones, not exactly successful during his tenure with the New York Giants, a losing record as a starter. The New York Giants aren't exactly one of the best teams in the National Football League, and they kind of told him to hit the road. So there's a lot of questions to be answered here. Shane Steichen has belief in Daniel Jones, and he also said, look, Anthony Richardson's future is not decided here in Indianapolis. We're not giving up on him, but Daniel Jones is the starter unless there's an injury or something unforeseen were to happen. So Anthony Richardson's, opportunities here in Indianapolis seem to be slimming, and a decision on his contract, whether to pick up his fifth year on his rookie contract is going to be coming next season as well. So Daniel Jones is starting quarterback. We're going to have much, much more for you on air on WTHR Plus, 4, 5, and 6 on here on WTHR, as this is quite a complex decision, but a decision has been made.
Yes, talking about consistency there, Dom, I'm really curious. You've been out at camp. You've been watching through this preseason game. You've been seeing the practice. You hinted to those metrics not being that far apart. Did you see it going this way? Were you surprised by this decision, or did you think maybe he was going to go with Richardson? What was your gut?
I kept saying throughout training camp, and we were out there every single day, and it was neck and neck. To me, it was 50-50, and if it was going to be 50-50, you have to go with Anthony Richardson. The guy is 23 years old. You need to know what you have in the young man, whether he is going to be your eventual franchise quarterback or whether it's time to cut ties and move on. I feel like you have to get that answer one way or another when it comes to Anthony Richardson, and I feel like it would have been way easier to go from Anthony Richardson starting to Daniel Jones rather than the optics of this situation that Daniel Jones is starting and you're giving up on Anthony Richardson. That obviously isn't the way the Colts feel and Shane Steichen feel. They don't believe they're giving up on Anthony Richardson, but that certainly is the perception when you talk to fans around Indianapolis and Indianapolis Colts fans, that you have to know what you have with Anthony Richardson. So this obviously muddies that, but let's be real about it, too. You're talking to Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, who both need to win and win now to stick around here in Indianapolis. And I don't think that was lost on those decision makers either. That I don't know if this raises the ceiling or the floor of this football team starting Daniel Jones, but it was all about consistency, and that's the way Shane Steichen went. He feels that Daniel Jones gives the Colts a better shot at being consistent and winning consistently here in 2025. If you would have asked me, I would have said Anthony Richardson. I understand both decisions, but I personally would have gone with Anthony Richardson. Shane Steichen and the Colts feel differently.
And did any mention to the injury that Anthony Richardson had? You were saying, well, we thought that was kind of minor. Would that have been a factor, or was that referred to at all today?
So not the injury itself or the kind of narrative that Anthony Richardson is injury prone. I think what led to that injury was what Shane Steichen is talking about, those checks at the line. That's a play that could have been prevented conceptually by Anthony Richardson. It was a slide, getting in the weeds here, but all the linemen went left. Pressure came from the right. Anthony Richardson was staring left. So that's something that could have been prevented. He has to know that guy is coming. That's a free rusher. And that's where the dislocated pinky comes in. And that's where it's low-hanging fruit saying, oh, Anthony Richardson's injury prone. He continues to be injury prone. Not so much. I think that's what Shane Steichen is referencing, that this is conceptual. This is the operation at the line of scrimmage. This is being consistent with all those things that make a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So I think that's where Daniel Jones, albeit a slim margin, established himself ahead of Anthony Richardson. But no, I do not believe that injuries had something to do with this, because Anthony Richardson was back at practice immediately after that first preseason game. It has not affected him at all. He's continued to play against the Green Bay Packers, had a lot of time to kind of give his final stand and his final mark as this competition ensued. So it had nothing to do with injuries. Again, for Shane Steichen, this was all conceptual, line of scrimmage stuff, and he thinks Daniel Jones is more consistent in that area.
All right, Dom, breaking it down for us. Of course, the news today that Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, picked over Anthony Richardson. So much debate on this. Dom, thanks so much for your coverage. Great job.